Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you got guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1. You'll hear a woman talking on the radio about sport aid. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Hello, you're listening to Redgate Radio and I'm Alex Dunbar. As you may know, people in the city will be taking part in Sport Aid this weekend. Here's Liz to tell us more about this event and how you can get involved.
Thanks, Alex. Well, this is the 4th year of Sport Aid, and it looks like it's going to be bigger and better than ever. Sport Aid is organised by the City Council, and it supports a number of different charities, although the main reason for its existence is to raise money to help developing countries. Last year, it raised over £100,000, and that money has helped to make life a little easier for people in many parts of the world. Just to give you one example, the village of Otunga in Chad now has a water supply, meaning that the people no longer have to walk miles every day just to get water. And there are countless stories like that. By contributing to the infrastructure of different regions, it's hoped that things like Sport Aid will enable many more people to climb out of poverty. Another way in which that happens is by giving people the knowledge and skills to earn money. One of the biggest issues facing people in many poorer areas of the world is education. Something that we take so much for granted can be rare and expensive in some regions. Education is seen as key to development, and money from Sport Aid has paid for schoolrooms and equipment in a number of places. So what can you do to help? There are lots of ways in which you can get involved. First of all, you can go down to the biggest attraction of the day, the Sport Aid charity football match. There will be thousands of people at City Stadium, and all the money raised from the sale of tickets goes to charity. There's much more going on than just a football match, of course. There will also be lots of entertainment for the whole family, including a fair, stalls selling all kinds of food, and even a chance to try out some sports you may not have tried before, like softball and volleyball. It's probably going to be a very active day, so it's best to make sure that everyone is in comfortable clothes before you go down there. It's always a fantastic day out, and it's a great way to show your support.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
But you're not restricted to being a spectator. Apart from the main event, there are a large number of smaller events taking place across the city. These range from fun runs around the park to games of cricket, and there's sure to be something happening in your area. Contact details are available for the people putting together each event, and you can get those from the council website. We'll be giving you the address for that at the end of the program. It's still not too late to organise your own event, as lots of people around the city are, although you'll have to get going on it now. First of all, do check that there isn't a similar event in your area, and then call the town hall to register your event. The local council needs to approve all events, and you'll stand more chance if you can come up with a sport that's new to some people, rather than just another game of football. Use your imagination, or try the internet to get some ideas. Try to come up with something that's going to get lots of people along, and which will raise money. You might not want to go for anything that turns out to be too costly though, since the council isn't able to supply bats or balls or anything else you need. But they will give you advice on finding a good location and might even be able to help you out with small prizes for winners, as well as making sure that everyone knows about your event by publicising it on the website and sending you an organiser's pack with lots more information. There are a couple more things you need to be aware of for your event. There aren't any age restrictions. Although, if you're under 18, you'll need to get an adult, such as a parent, to sign the forms for you and to handle any money raised. But you do need to live in the Red Gate area. You should also be prepared for anyone to turn up, since all events are public.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You will hear a local radio program about cycling courses in London. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
There's been a great deal of interest lately in encouraging people to use bicycles instead of cars as a means of transport. But not everyone is confident about riding a bike at the best of times, let alone in the middle of a city like London. Jack Hayes is a professional trainer who works for a London-based company, City Cyclist, which provides cycle training for the public. What exactly does City Cyclist do, Jack?
Well, our basic purpose is to promote cycling as a sustainable form of transport. We believe the best way to promote cycling is to teach people to use their bikes safely and with confidence. In European countries, people all learned from their parents, and they also learned in school. And when I tell them I teach people to ride bikes, they laugh. They think it's crazy. But here in London, it's completely different. You're approaching the point where a whole generation of people have grown up not being allowed by their parents to cycle because it was considered to be getting too dangerous. And so, in turn, they can't teach their children. We believe in realistic training. So if someone wants to use a bike regularly, say to get to work or school, we aim to train them by teaching them to ride on the actual roads they'll use, so they can develop the basic skills they need and build up their confidence that way. At City Cyclist, we believe cycling's for everyone, no matter what age or level of ability or mobility. We do complete beginners and also advanced courses. That's for urban cyclists who want to deal with things like riding in streets with complicated intersections and things like that. We don't promote the use of personal protective equipment for cyclists, and we endorse the policy of the European Cyclists Federation that parents should be allowed to make an informed choice as to whether or not their child wears a helmet. We believe the key to safe cycling is assertiveness, taking your place on the road. This has to be instilled right from the beginning. Assertive road positioning and behaviour is the key to safe cycling in congested urban environments. Some people are surprised that we don't promote the segregation of cyclists from motorised traffic, but we don't think that's practical in all urban environments. Instead, We teach people to use as much road space as they need to travel safely and effectively.
You now have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
Now, as well as courses for individuals, City Cyclist provides a number of services for organisations. For example, we can deliver fun, safe cycle training activities at schools, arranging courses so that the disruption of curriculum time is kept to a minimum. As well as this, in order to promote safe cycling, we have provided training courses for employees and staff of local councils. And we are also increasingly looking at developing training courses in companies in order to help employers work towards green transport plans by helping to increase the number of staff cycling to work. Right, so that's a brief summary of what we do. If any listeners would like to find out more about the organisation, you can have a look at our website. That's City Cyclist, CITI, cyclist.co.uk. And in order to book lessons, you can either phone us on 020 7562 4028 or do it online. There's an application form on our website, and you can just download that and send it in. We charge £27.50 per hour for one-to-one lessons, plus £6 for each extra person. So you're looking at just £39.50 for a family of 3, say. If you've never been on a bike in your life before, we reckon we can get you riding in 1 hour, and for most people a course of road training usually takes 3 hours. But whether you're a parent or a child, an individual or an institution, we'll be happy to discuss your special needs and make a programme just for you.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You'll hear a conversation between students Robert and Monica, and a tutor about personal marketing. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 23. Now listen carefully and answer the questions 21 to 23.
You've been looking at different styles of personal marketing in small companies and the workplace in the UK. So how's the coursework going, Robert?
Well, I've been looking at why some people decide to run their own business. Market research shows that personal management is a critical area. When you think about any small business, it is usually a family business. They are also trained and developed as a group. Of course, they may have different ideas, but these ideas are based on their experiences and education. So it is critical that all members are able to brainstorm with each other.
So what do you think about differences of opinion in the workplace?
I think that there are many reasons why this can occur. The research particularly focuses on personality managing within a small company. Actually, it clearly shows the difference between men and women in terms of their methods and solutions at work.
Right. So, Did you research the effects of family members working together within a small company?
Of course I did. One advantage of this is being able to share thoughts and ideas with others in a way that stimulates the mind and helps save money. However, unfortunately, each new idea can cause controversy between employees and cause problems in marketing and management. Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at the questions 24 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 24 to 30.
I agree, Robert. Now 2 more things we need to talk about are personal talent and managing it effectively. So, Monica, did you have a perception of different talents among employees? And how do you think it is efficient for employers to work?
In my case, teamwork is emphasised in the workplace, so the personal skills of employees can often be overlooked. The thing that employers should be targeting is an acceptance of other views and filter responsibility appropriately.
That's right, Monica. However, unfortunately, many top managers think it is too difficult to make a unit when all employees' ideas are put together.
I see. That should be the case, but I think one of the hardest tasks for employers is considering the wants and needs of each employee, such as finding ways of cooperating, compromising, and sometimes persuading the employees when they don't accept the target. So it requires creative and broad thinking with other people.
So what kind of people do you think are best for these companies?
Well, the best solution starts from when the companies are looking for new staff. Of course, the responsibility of the Human Resource Department should be to choose the best staff. Also, they have to learn and research personal management and psychological tests with confirmation of qualifications. It's so essential for them.
So, how about if the best team members are overestimated?
No, they're not overestimated. You just need to learn steadily if you're working in an organisation.
Right. So, how should managers cope with this situation?
It's a carrot and stick. If all employees are following the rules and policies of the company, a manager may give them an incentive in order to save time and costs. Also, the incentive can be either a working condition they want to change or money.
Great. It's your turn, Robert. How important is it for a manager to be a good performer?
Managing CEO means not only sharing all employees' thoughts, but also understanding the culture of the organisation. Actually, there needs to be a balance between creative minds and personal decisions during working time.
Exactly. Well done, Robert.
Thank you, sir. Clearly, sometimes it is hard for the managing CEO to control the system. For instance, they should manage the changes in the workplace caused by crisis or loss with caution.
Right. Sometimes certain situations cause problems for the future management of the company. Do you follow me, Robert?
Yes, I do. Actually, I have one more thing to say about high stress levels in the workplace. It takes time for a balance to be found between employers and employees.
That's a very interesting idea. So, let's move on and talk about the marketing mix.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You'll hear part of a lecture given by Archaeology about art of Incan civilization. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer the questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, everyone. The first workshop is in preparation for our anthropological fieldwork in the Incan civilization of South America. We are so happy to have received funding for separate studies for this field trip from our organisation. So I shall expect over 90% attendance from you. In this workshop, I'm going to begin by offering a brief introduction to contemporary studies on wall painting, and in the second part, I'm going to show some examples of fieldwork, so please listen carefully. I'm going to focus on interpretations of wall painting art in Peru. Fortunately, we are going to explain an area where you can find some of the most critical sites in the world. And I deeply hope to show you how they were made. This is the first and most important chapter we must study. In Peru there are both engravings and paintings. Many of the engravings show totemism, and most historians tend to think that the purpose of these was complicated and mixed. This wall art was like a museum guidebook with pictures to teach students about the artworks. They represent nature, sun, moon, wind, water, fire, and so forth. However, there were several mysteries. When you first see a typical Inca engraving or painting, you can see that the traps are sophisticated. There are tracks for the movement of nature. Today we'll learn how to make tracking. Now, there are two more things to consider. Why are some of the engravings of natural phenomenon very delicate but clearly ideological and others realistic? Another mystery is some of the realistic natural phenomenon that's in the engravings. For instance, some have god faces. Many researchers now think that these are pictures that were engraved by the craft masters. They believed they could use the providence of nature they had drawn so the hunters could then mimic them for prosperity. Most historians thought that the visitors looked at the wall paintings to understand their origins and solve the puzzles of the art and culture of the pictures. Now many scholars believe that the wall art was more about enchantment, and we'll learn more about them next session. In the third part of the workshop, I'd like to explain some of the implications of our explored prehistoric site and understanding the wall arts. We're going to visit lots of sites related to them. The single largest problem at these sites is visitors unintentionally touching and scratching the wall paintings. Whenever you go over to a site in Inca, you'll learn and conserve many things made from the Incas because they are of good value to prehistoric research. Through the field trip, these visitors are able to get an educational experience. And there are some essential rules to show you. There are traps that can happen suddenly and are very dangerous. Actually, they were a safeguard against enemies. So you should always follow the information board in the forest with a local tour guide. So, how are we going to feel the wall painting in our field trip? Don't forget, no touching, just leave it. The wall painting is fragile, and it is also a part of Peruvian heritage and a national treasure. This lesson is joining with a local community on the site. They run a special course and a trip around the historical site once a month. Obviously, scratching or touching on the wall paintings can destroy in a moment what has lasted for thousands of years of Incan civilization. Please try to be extra careful and look out for your mates. Look carefully everywhere. And lastly, please don't move any old materials to take a picture. Well, that's about all I want to say, but if you have any questions, please ask them now. Right, do you have any questions so far?
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.